Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Boston Straight Shooters. I'm your host for the evening, Steve, aka Negative Ned. Frank is away on business. Uh, Tonight we are going to do a special edition, hockey edition tonight in honor of the Four Nations tournament, where USA is getting ready to play Canada tomorrow night from the TD Garden. And I have a special guest joining me shortly. And so while we wait for him to join, I'm going to post a link so you guys can jump in. And in the meantime, while I'm doing that, I do want to discuss briefly, before we get started, I want to talk about Red Sox with the Rafael Devers and Alex Bregman situation. You gotta love Rafi Devers. They asked him point blank if he would be willing to move to DH, and he flat out said no. My position is third base. And what the team's going to do, the team's going to do, basically is what he said. And so it's going to cause a bone of contention for him and the team. I'm a little bit surprised that they didn't try to rectify this before they signed Bregman, because I really thought that Bregman was going to be playing second base, which is why the whole reason they signed him, not to play third and push Devers to DH. They have a DH for right now, Yoshida, and so unless they trade him, they're gonna have two DHs. They're gonna have issues. They have to fix this. I'm not sure what they did or why they did it or how they did it, but they got something they need to get rectified here, and I don't know. I just this is typical with them. This is absolutely atypical of the Red Sox. They just can't get out of their own way. They can't do anything right. This should have been all ironed out beforehand. There's no way. There's no way that it should have came to this. They should have had a discussion with Devers and said, "Look, we want to bring this guy in to play third. Will you move to DH?" If he said no at that point, then you got to lay down the law. I mean, the manager, he's not the GM, and there's a lot of comments about, him not being a team player and not moving. And, normally I would bash the hell out of Devers and I would say, look, you should just play wherever they tell you to play. You're getting paid. But I have a feeling there's a miscommunication there. And I have a feeling that they weren't forthcoming with him before they brought Bregman in here. And I think that's probably the major issue why he doesn't want to move. Alex Bregman said he'll play wherever they want him. My personal opinion in this case is I want Devers at third and I want Bregman at short. And the reason for that is because the hole that they've had at second base for the last 2 years with the Flotsam and Jetsam Ocean State job lot bums they've been putting in there, David Hamilton, Exxon Valdez, some dude from AAA last year, the errors that they were making, costly at the worst times of the game, costing them leads late in the game. They can't make a routine grounder. They can't turn a double play. The team is weaker if Bregman's at third and they put somebody else at second base, Christian Campbell or Vaughn Grissom or whoever. I have yet to see that these guys have proven themselves to be able to play at the major league level. They've been playing in AAA and barely making it. I understand Campbell has, a ton of upside, but he would have to come into camp and wow everybody with flawless defense. And I'm not even talking about, his bat. He can hit 200 as long as he can play defense and turn a double play. And I wouldn't be too upset with that. But as constituted right now, to me, the lineup is better with Devers at third and Bregman at second base. And, injuries happen during the year. It's inevitable. For right now, Devers, as it stands, really isn't throwing because his shoulder's bothering him still from last year. So that's another thing that, they should have shut him down earlier. They should have gave him the treatment or whatever. If he needed surgery, get the surgery. They always delay this crap. They did it with Trevor Story last year. He delayed the surgery or whatever. And, He ended up going. He ended up being out for what 6 months. Came back in like I don't know July or August or whatever. I mean, look, these guys want to play. I applaud the toughness, uh, but I don't applaud the stupidity. You know, you're delaying the inevitable and making it worse. If Devis had a problem with his shoulder right at the end of the season, they could have done something to fix it so that he could be 100% for spring training. Now I'm hearing that he's not even throwing, and that's not good. And if he's not throwing and he can't play third, and it forces him to be the DH, we don't even know if the way he swings, we don't know if he'll last. You could see some of the swings last year when he was wincing. And if it's like that again now, he's not going to be 100%. He's not going to last. So, you know, and the other thing I want to touch on real quick is Tristan Casas, who thinks he's, Tristan Casas thinks he's GM Junior over here. Listen, they asked him about having Devers at third and Bregman at second base, whatever. And he said, Devers should play third, and the young guys shouldn't be on the roster, and Bregman should play second. Like, dude, who the hell are you? You're nobody. I'm sorry. You and your stupid, I don't believe Ted Williams hit the ball in the red seat. But listen, you haven't done squat. You're 24 years old. You need to shut the hell up and just play. All right. And I blame Cora for not reining these guys in and saying, look, we're not going to have any comments. No one's going to say anything. You got to give them the Bill Belichick treatment at some point a little bit and be like, look, you got to shut your yap. Just do your job. Go out in the sun, out in the outfield, with your freaking shirt off and sunbathe and whatnot, and go freaking, paint your fingernails and shut the hell up. I mean, I'm getting tired of this guy already. I after he made these comments, I would have traded him like 10 minutes later. He would have been gone. I can't stand it. He's not a leader. He's not a leader on the team. He's not a leader in the clubhouse, and he shouldn't be saying anything. And I don't care what Cora said today about, guys have their feelings and they're going to say stuff. And no, you need to put a sock in it and just shut the hell up and play, because I'm sick of your crap. When you're hitting 300 with 30 homers and 100 RBI and you're making a significant impact, then you can talk. Until then, shut the hell up and let's see what you can do. All right, I'm going to stop that rant. And we're going to bring in tonight's special guest, Tim Anderson, who's going to join us and talk about the Four Nations tournament. Welcome, Tim. How you doing?
What's going on, Negative Ned? How are we?
Not Negative Ned.
Yeah, I'm definitely not Negative Ned.
That's funny.
And this Four Nations tournament has been even better than expected in most people's opinion. A lot of people came into this with a couple question marks. I think the biggest being, is this just going to be an all-star game mentality? Is this truly going to be best on best? And in all honesty, I give all the credit to the players. They made this tournament something absolutely beautiful. And it's truly remarkable for us fans to witness what we're watching. And on Thursday, I think it's going to be absolutely even more phenomenal than what we've got. But Negative Nat, I'll throw it back to you.
So listen, I'm in 100% agreement with you. This tournament has been unbelievable.
I'm wearing my USA.
There you go. Nice. Listen, the players are definitely invested. That's the key. Unlike the NBA, where the players are definitely not interested in playing in the All-Star game, and they just seem to be half-assing it. When they're making $40 million a year, it's difficult to get them. These guys are just playing for pride, the NHL guys. I don't think there's any money involved at all. And they're showing us how it should be. And that's the way it was, in the 80s when and maybe even part of the 90s when they had the All-Star game. The guys just played. They played for pride. They tried to beat each other. But this tournament here, the USA versus Canada alone, just unbelievable. Phenomenal. You could throw all the adjectives out you want, not to discredit the other two teams, Sweden and Finland, because they're both good teams. But I think that excuse me, I think that USA and Canada really, uh, in that first game, just you know, really got everybody ignited. And
It got the
let me
people going for
yeah,
sure.
let me get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I'm gonna throw it back to you here.
Yeah, no. The first 9 seconds, there was 3 separate fights. The Kachuk brothers being a part of the first two. I love the interview with his dad after Walt, Big Walt. More of
Oh, that's
your
Keith. Keith
yeah,
Kachuk.
yeah, Keith. Yeah. Well, they call him Walt. That's his nickname.
I know why they.
Um,
Oh yeah, okay, I know why they call it. Never mind, I
yeah.
got it.
So, um, but more your style of hockey, negative net, more of the old school
Old
throwback
school rock'em sock'em. That's it.
kind of hockey. Yeah.
I actually have a we actually have a clip of that for half a second. If you give me a second here, we actually have a clip, and I apologize.
No.
I apologize for the lack of professionalism here, but let's take it. Let's have a look at the.
Hagel right off the hop.
So
So
I only got the first fight. Uh, so that's just a glimpse of how it kicked off. That's really the most important part, anyway. I
yeah,
know the other two fights were good as well, but that was the kickoff of that game, and that was awesome.
yeah, no, it truly was. And um, my hot take is that this might have killed the All-Star game in general. Definitely did for hockey. I can promise. I can wear my cap, or I can wave my cap to that for sure. But I think other sports around hockey are going to be looking into what hockey did here, because hockey did something truly remarkable for what is known as an expedition tournament. They truly did something, and they made the players buy in, and all the credit goes to the players here in my book. But yeah, this is just a truly phenomenal tournament so far, and what we got on Saturday night was nothing but perfect. And I'm hoping for a little more of that magic come Thursday, regardless of who wins. In all honesty, Canada or US, I'm just hoping for good quality hockey. So
I totally agree. Listen, this is the best tournament that they've had since 1996, in my opinion, the World Cup of Hockey. I was actually fortunate enough to go to the last two of those games up in Montreal. It was electric. It was exciting. It was awesome. Uh, I would put that game Saturday between USA and Canada right up there with those games. Um, just the fight alone was, old school rock'em sock'em like I like.
throwback.
But again, to your point, the quality of play is what really matters. And after all that hoopla died down, I mean, the quality of play, the effort that the guys are giving, uh, is typical of what we want to see and what we usually do see from hockey. It's a playoff style atmosphere, and the Garden, the TD Garden on Monday in Boston is going to be like absolutely nuts, and I can't wait to see it. I really can't.
Yeah, no, it's been good so far.
So let's talk about. I know you want to talk about the Bruins players that have participated in the tournament. So
Sure.
let's touch on those guys, and I'll give you a quick breakdown of who they are. I mean, you know who they are, but the folks at home don't.
Of course,
Uh, Everybody's familiar with Brad Marchand. He's actually on Team Canada, so he's kind of the enemy
the rat,
in
the
this
rat,
case.
the first.
He's Rat Junior, as I call him, because the original Rat is Ken Linsman, and he's not the Rat. Sorry, he's a little ball of hate.
Yeah, the
And
first time he's ever been cheered for in Montreal. I can promise you that.
yeah, that's right. That'll be
Um,
the only time he gets cheered up there ever, unless he plays for Canada again. Charlie McAvoy playing for Team USA. Jeremy Swayman also on Team USA, and Elias Lindholm on Sweden. And so obviously Jeremy Swayman didn't get to play because the goalie that USA has, Connor Hellebuck, he's been phenomenal in
The
2
goalie
games.
depth is phenomenal for the United States. We have just an abundance of riches when it comes to goaltending.
So, Brad Marchand scored a goal in the first tournament game that they played, and he's played well in the tournament. And listen, I want a good game like you do, but I want USA to win, and so I don't want to see Marchand skating around with that stupid trophy or whatever it is.
I mean, I think he might get booed for the first time at the Garden, come Thursday, depending on the level of United States versus Canada here. But yeah, no, he's played phenomenal, and I think the world is starting to realize that Brad Marchand is not all that bad.
As a teammate, right?
Yeah, he's the ultimate teammate. I think a lot of people are seeing that from the first game. His one of my favorite quotes from this entire tournament was Brad Marchand before the tournament even started. He said, "I'm so excited to be here. Honestly, I would be the water boy for this team if I needed to." And just the level of excitement and like his ultimate like kind of teammate aspect about him and his leadership is kind of going a long ways. But also the star power on Canada is something completely unheard of. Besides on international play, their power play 1 is something straight out of a video game with Crosby, McDavid, McKinnon, Reinhart, and Makar. It's just absolutely nuts.
Sick, absolutely sickening.
They have a lot of great leaders up and down that lineup, and I think Marchand's definitely one of them. But I absolutely love that water boy comment he made, and I also love the fact that he actually got cheered for scoring a goal in Montreal for the first time probably ever in his life, and first and last on that first game. But that was just such a great play by Brandon Point there, and in all honesty, Brad Marchand's going to hit that 100% of the time. The net was wide open. So, but Marchand's playing great. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get in the mix on Thursday, especially knowing that some of these players are a little bit under the weather for US.
Yeah, that's a possibility. Listen, you can call him the rat or a little ball head or whatever it is. He's bringing his A game. He's going to bring his A game, and he needs to if they're going to have a chance to win. He can't take plays off or whatever. He's got to be what he's been for the last 10 or 15 years. I do want to talk about Charlie McAvoy getting hurt in the last. Actually, he didn't get hurt in the last game. He got hurt 2 games ago against Finland. He's played through the injury against Canada and played well. I mean, he was doling out some hits. He knocked Connor McDavid on his butt.
Yeah, he leveled him.
And so, one of the things that I have to ask is, are you upset that he got hurt in this tournament and could be out of action for the Bruins for the foreseeable future?
I mean, as a Bruins fan, obviously it's a little disheartening, but I think Charlie McAvoy being an American, all of these players bought into the tournament, and they're playing at such a high pace that is comparable to, and a lot of players are even saying, I believe Matt Boldy actually came out and said, this is the biggest game I've ever played in. This is a game 7 to me in the Stanley Cup. So it truly does matter to these players, which is great. And I think that only helps. But as a Bruins fan, does it hurt? Of course it does. I saw an interview from Joe Sacco saying I would not expect him in the near future. He came out in the press conference today and said that about McAvoy. I don't know what it means long-term, but he's definitely going to be out some time with this injury. And not for nothing, he had 2 games played, 0 points. He was a +1, but he was an absolute difference maker when it came to physicality in the games. and dishing out some big hits on their star players such as Crosby and McDavid. And that hit with McDavid, that's probably going to be a highlight clip for him.
For a long time.
For a long time. You don't
The
don't
whole
go
time that
another.
the whole time that he's out, they're going to be replaying that because they think that that's one of the hits. The other one is actually that's probably the one hit because it's his right shoulder, not his left shoulder. They showed another clip of him, getting pushed into the goalpost or whatever. But that was his other side. So, uh, you know, there's the injury itself, and then there's the Bruins. I guess are upset that they let him play, and they're not happy. They're not too happy with Team USA and their doctors. So, what's your take on, should the Bruins management be upset? There's other teams with other players that got injured during the tournament. It wasn't just the Bruins.
Exactly.
And I haven't heard anything about the other teams going after their country's doctors or whatever. Like, Finland lost a guy, Sweden lost a guy. I don't hear any scuttlebutt about their teams, NHL teams getting on the doctors and so forth for letting them play. I think it's part of the risk. I mean, these guys have to know that, when you're playing a contact sport, this is the same argument you have for football. It's a contact sport. If you don't want to get hit, put flags on. Don't play. I mean, put skirts on it. And if you don't want to play NHL hockey and don't get hit, then put a skirt on and don't do it.
I think it comes with the territory of playing with your country, and I think, like I said before, no one knew what this product was going to be, and no one. We haven't had best on best in a very long time. It's been like over a decade. People were thinking they were going to come out guns a-blazing, but no one knew that it was going to be this hot, I think. And letting a player go play for his country, I think, is the ultimate goal for the player. And Charlie was just doing what he wanted to do. And I think that comes with the territory. Like I said, the Bruins are going to be mad. They always are. Don Sweeney will find a way to be mad about something. But Charlie was just doing what he loves to do. And it's rise to the occasion and be a big player when it comes to defense.
I think that game against Canada was his best game of the year, including in a Bruins uniform. I mean, he's had one or two games, really solid games. He hasn't had a very solid season. He's had kind of a down year, in my opinion.
I think he's being asked too much.
Well, that's part of it too. I mean, the part of it too is he has, the Bruins are a little bit depleted on defense with Hampus Lindholm being injured, so he's got to carry more of the burden, and so he looks a little worse than he should. But this game against Canada was definitely his best game overall, and he put everything on the line, which is what you should do. And for people that don't know, even though Don Sweeney and Bruins management can get mad, Don Sweeney is the GM of Canada. Yeah, so exactly. He's got some stakes. He's got something at stake in this tournament too. So he can't. If they're that upset, then you can't let the guys go there and play. And I don't think that's right. I think they should be allowed to play. It's the whole point, and it's to draw interest. And I just want to bring up real quick the numbers that you gave me earlier. This tournament, that game, the game on Saturday night drew 10.1 million North Americans, 4.4 million in USA, and 5.7 million in Canada, which is 15% of Canada's population. And just to put that into perspective, the NBA All-Star Game would normally kill any NHL tournament, All-Star Game, whatever. And this year's NBA All-Star Game had the second lowest viewership since 1990 at 4.7 million viewers. So for NHL to be within a few 100,000 people of a range of viewership in the USA, that's huge because, I've been hopping on NHL to promote NHL guys, and they don't do it the same way they do in basketball. LeBron James and Steph Curry are everywhere. ESPN has hockey, but I don't see Connor McDavid and Sidney Crosby everywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, different sport. It's ingrained differently, I think. Hockey always is it's we instead of me. There's no I in team, and it's always we. I love the Stanley Cup commercial that is always talking about we and the team, always referencing we instead of I. Which that's just ingrained in all hockey players from a young age, I think. But I wanted to run this one by you. I don't know if you caught this. The Stanley Cup, 2024 Stanley Cup averaged 1.54 million viewers.
Wow.
That's
not a lot.
This almost tripled that, roughly. And this is a much smaller tournament that no one knew was going to have this much pop. So I think it's just remarkable that the players have bought in to this level and that this tournament is doing so well. And I'm hoping that they can continue to build off this and maybe get more teams in the mix, because there's been more.
Well, I was going to say, how do you feel about adding maybe 2 more teams or 4 more teams? I mean, we didn't have Russia, we didn't have Czechoslovakia. Like David Pastrnak and Alex Ovechkin didn't get to participate, and they're 2 of the biggest stars too. So there's some stars that were missing.
For sure,
could have helped, drive up ratings. Not just for, it wouldn't be just USA versus Canada. It could be, some other countries that, USA versus Russia. How big would that be?
Yeah, no, there's a bunch of great players too, and I know Pastrnak was there on I believe Monday, he was a little bummed that Czech wasn't invited, but the good news that came out with Bettman before is that the world of hockey is going to continue, and that is going to be great. We're going to see a lot more teams come into the mix. And I don't know if there ever will be another 4 nations per se. So for this one tournament, and like having as small of a kind of a shell life as we don't know how far this tournament is going to go. We don't know if there's ever going to be one again.
I was going to say, they can't have it every year or you'll kill all the players. They'll have nothing left. I mean, I think maybe they could do it every 2 years opposite the Olympics. So you had it this year in 2025. Maybe you have it again in 2027, and then you have the Olympics in 2028, or it'd be like 2026. 2026 would be World Cup of Hockey. 2028 would be Olympics. 2030 would be World Cup of Hockey. 2032 would be Olympics. Like, if they could offset it somehow, you definitely can't have this every year. You'll have no players left. I mean,
no, for sure.
Guys will be killing themselves, but. And more teams will get upset, I think, by the injuries because of how much they're paying these guys. And so I do like the idea of having every couple of years, or maybe even every 4 years. I mean, look, you can have Olympics every 4 years and then have this tournament every 4 years somehow to offset. I mean, it doesn't have to be every 2 years. I think it would be better if it was every 2 years, because the NHL All-Star Game is a mess. I don't like the way that format is almost like the NBA format they just had, where they had 4 teams, this, that, blah, blah. I don't like that format. I don't like the 3-on-3. I think that listen, I understand everybody wants to see goals and, they want to see, offense and so forth. But 3-on-3 just reminds me of like mini 1-on-1. And to me, it's boring when the game is, 15-12. Like, I don't need it to be like that.
Yeah. And there's been a lot of memes going around about how the NFL is playing a game of flag football, and that the NBA is begging the All-Star Game players to play defense. And meanwhile, Matt Tkachuk and Brady Tkachuk are just running amok and throwing haymakers. And Canada is footing the bill as well. Like I said, Brandon Hagel fought way outside of his weight class there. Sam Bennett versus Brady Tkachuk. Yeah, that's usual.
Actually, the guy that fought out of his weight class was JT Miller. He was.
I was going to get there. Colton Parayko definitely is a monster, and I would say probably the only fight they truly lost in that game was that one. But
Right.
JT showed up. I appreciate the heart there. But yeah, that was just a very good win in my opinion. And the U.S. Went into Montreal. They went into enemy territory versus Canada, and they imposed their will. I think that was very big, and that started with the Bash brothers, the both Kachucks. Did you hear them? They were mic'd up. Brady was mic'd up, and he goes into the box and he daps up his brother and he goes, "Oh, how was my fight? I think I got him so good. I got him so good." And then Matt goes, "Yeah, your fight was awesome. You did well. Like you crushed them."
I
He's
didn't
like,
get
"How
to
was
hear
my
any of
fight?"
that.
Yeah, no. So they're like I it was just a remarkable like video of them like just kind of going back and being like little kids almost. But they're playing on for their country in the national stage, which is just remarkable. And then I love Keith Kachuk's comments. They're just two lunatics. He says about his own kids, they are just two lunatics. Good luck
Listen,
controlling
I
them.
know the people that watched saw old clip from 1996 of Keith Kachuk fighting
Yep.
Claude Lemieux.
Yep.
And so, it chips off the old block, if you will. When Kachuk is running around in the Panthers uniform, killing the Bruins, I want them to flatten the hell out of him. But in this particular case, I loved watching both of them just mop the Canadian guys right out of the gate.
Yeah.
And so, look, I know we're not going to see any of that, and I want to move along a little bit. Let's do. Do you have a prediction for who's going to win tomorrow night?
I think goaltending is going to be absolutely massive, and I know that's been kind of the talk of the town for all of Canada. And it's not really a worry for us folks in the United States, as we have Connor Hellebuck, and we have Jake Ottinger, and then we have Swayman. But I think the goalie is going to be truly the true tell sign here. And I heard some bad juju today regarding kind of this topic. Binnington, if he is the chosen goalie by John Cooper, he has done this in Boston before, in Game 7 in 2019. So
I remember.
I remember very much well too. So he is capable of stealing a big game, but can he is the question. And I don't know. I think this is going to be close. My really only prediction, I'm not going to decide either way. I'm just hoping for a good hockey game. And the only thing I'm calling right now is I think it's going to be in overtime. The game is going to be decided in overtime.
That would be absolutely phenomenal.
It's probably going to be low scoring,
3-2, something like that.
Yeah.
2-1.
But I mean, to play devil's advocate too, I wouldn't mind an absolute shootout. But I just think with the goalies and the defense for the United States and a couple folks we haven't talked about yet. I know we harped on McAvoy quite a bit, but this defensive core has been just phenomenal for the United States. Slavin and Brock Faber, Jacob Slavin for Carolina, Brock Faber for Minnesota Wild. They are probably the best shutdown deep pair in this entire tournament. Jacob Slavin is getting a lot of eyes on him that he's never really got the true attention that he deserved. He is an absolute workhorse back there, and he's shutting down the best in the world. I do want to bring up a point that hasn't also been brought up, though. Canada was missing one of their star players who was sick during the United States, and that's Cale Makar.
Yeah.
He is a difference maker. He's a game changer. He's a game breaker.
And he's a notch above Charlie McAvoy, so it's like you can't apple to apple him. He's a Norris Trophy guy.
I love Charlie McAvoy, but he's several notches above.
That's going to make a huge impact.
Several notches above everyone. In all honesty, Cale Makar is one of the, if not, might be the best player in the NHL. I know Connor McDavid, and Nate McKinnon are up there, but I think Kale is going to be knocking on that door very shortly, as well, as he's just absolutely phenomenal. And it just turns out that he was sick that day. I'm still, I still have faith that the U.S. decor and goalies will hang strong. I think Eichel and the offense. I think both the Kachuk brothers are going to play. I think they would. I don't think they would sit easily if they were not playing. This game is just so big to them that I think both of them will play. And yeah, it's definitely going to be good. But Ned, what do you got?
I obviously want to see USA win.
Free bird.
I'm not 100% sure that they're going to win based on some numbers I heard earlier, and I don't know if I got them from you or got them from Sports Radio, but Connor Hellebuck, his playoff record is 18-27, and he's got a 2.85 goals against average, and he has had a habit of kind of clunking out with Winnipeg, and so that is a slight concern. Although usually in these kind of things, like the Stanley Cup playoffs, the hot goalie steals it. You know, you have to have the hot goalie if you're going to win the cup. And when I say hot goalie, I mean the guy's played like 10 games and he's got like a 1.3 goals against average and his save percentage is like 95%. And that's kind of what he's got now. He's got a 957 save percentage in this tournament. He's only allowed a few goals. So he really needs to be the difference maker and be kind of like, and I'll say Patrick Roy or Martin Brodeur, that type. He has to have that type of game. If he falls flat at all and gives up a softie or whatever, it could derail USA. But I'm gonna go on a limb and say that USA is going to get the job done. That place is going to be going nuts. And again, close game, 3-2. I would take overtime. I don't want the shootout. I don't like the shootout. I hate it. I think it's a stupid way to end the game.
So in the championship tip, I think that's a rule. They're not doing it. It's basically going to be golden goal. They're going to be playing, and I forget if it's 5-on-5 for a little bit and then 3-on-3, but I know it doesn't go to a shootout.
All right, that's good. So they probably have like 5 or 10 minute periods in overtime or something.
I think 10, yeah.
10. See, I like that. I would take 10 minutes. I would take 10 minutes of overtime in the regular season, and have 4-on-4, or you could do 4-on-4 for the first 5 minutes and 3-on-3 for the second 5 minutes, or something like that, so that somebody has to win the game and you don't have a shootout. And I've been harping on the point system in the NHL forever. I hate the whole 1 point after 60 minutes. I want them to completely get rid of that. I don't know if
what they've done with this tournament.
I think that the way they do the point scoring system in this tournament could work, but also if it was me, I would just change it to 2 points for a win and 0 for anything else. Nothing after 60 minutes, and you're forcing the teams to go for it in overtime and win. No ties allowed. There's no ties allowed. Somebody has to win. You're going to keep playing these 5-minute overtimes until somebody wins the game. And somebody gets 2 points, and that should force the teams to go for the W instead of playing for 1 point after 60 minutes. I just hate that whole thing. I hate the argument. Well, we got 1 point on the road. You sound like a bunch of idiots. I don't like it. I hate it.
The Bruins are pretty good at racking up points on
the road. I get this all the time. I hear it all day long. In that fashion. It's like, oh, they got 1 point on the road. I'm like, no, they blew the game. We blew the game. That the 1 point on the road thing doesn't matter. That I hate it. Long story short, I'll stop there. That's a rant for another day. But I do like how they did. They have to look in a short tournament like this. They have to do the 3-2-1 thing the way they did it. And I'm fine with that. That's not horrible at all. Over 80 games, I don't know how that's going to look. I don't know, but
I mean, I don't mind the NHL actually like testing the waters though, and yeah, it's a short tournament, but why not test it out? See if it's something that actually can stick. I think they didn't. The NHL. And obviously they gave a lot of props to the players, and the players bought in, and that's the biggest thing. But having over 4.4 million watching in just the U.S. alone on a Saturday night is something legendary. In all honesty, this has been, or that was one of the best games of international play in the last 30.
We've been waiting
30
for a long time. We've been waiting for a long
and
time for this to come
we've
through
been waiting,
where
and the
it
players
is.
have been waiting, and they answered the bell, in multiple ways. They yeah they
So let me
and
ask you this.
Yep.
We had a little conversation earlier. Let's throw it out here. Who would your tournament MVPs be so far up to this point?
So one player I absolutely love right now is on the U.S. blue line. His name's Zach Werenski, playing for Columbus Blue Jackets. And in all honesty, he's absolutely carrying that team. An absolute tragedy with what happened with Johnny Gaudreau in the offseason, coming in before. But that team is playing with a lot of heart and a lot of that play is being led by Zach Werenski. And Zach Werenski is doing nothing else in this tournament as well. He's just business as usual. He's wheeling and dealing. He's looking good on assists. The first game, I think he had 3 assists as well on the blue line. Just looking absolutely silky out there. So he's looking phenomenal. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets another apple, maybe even a goal on tomorrow night. And but another more underrated player who's kind of, in all honesty, he was kind of the odd man out, was Dylan Larkin. And Dylan Larkin for the Detroit Red Wings is their captain. He's kind of their workhorse. He's very, very good. And
yeah, he's a damn good player.
And he's been nothing but that. In this tournament, he's been phenomenal. And as a fourth line guy, that like has kind of been in that swing position of like, oh, am I going to be the odd one out? He's come in and he's lit it up. He got a goal. He hit a post and he had a great assist on the empty net against Canada in all in just one game where he looked absolutely fantastic. So, but if I was going to give one to the Canadian team, I would have to go with Sid. My other question to you:
Is he playing better than McDavid?
Point wise, yes, but it depends, and this is why I'm saying it. Will the Stars take over? Is kind of the true question for Canada here. With Kale being back, can they propel themselves to do what McJesus did and blow by Charlie McAvoy and make him look absolutely silly? But that's no knock to Charlie McAvoy, as he's a fantastic player. But this is what Connor McDavid does.
So I have 2. My one would be McDavid, just because of the speed and the factor that he is.
Yep.
And my other one would be Hellebuck because, he really carried them and made some big saves. And you need that from your goalie. And so those are the 2 that stand out to me so far. I don't have any argument or whatever about the guys you picked. They're all worthy choices. Dylan Larkin, I watched him get that goal. He kind of did like McDavid. He had the speed, broke down, rifled it in. I mean, so when you have players like that are on your fourth line, your team is loaded.
Yeah,
for him to contribute like that and accept his role and so on and so forth. So I have no argument with any of those guys that you picked, but those are just the 2 that stand out for me. All right, I want to before we run out of time, if you're all set with the tournament talk, I want to talk about the Bruins and what their outlook is going to be after the break, because they're going to be playing Saturday, which comes quick considering. It's long for the guys that didn't play in the tournament, but it's short for Marchand and Swayman and Lindholm. Swayman's going to have some rust now after not playing for a week and a half to 2 weeks. Yeah. So what kind of impact do you think that's going to have on him coming back after the break, knowing that
I will get back to that.
Go ahead.
I do just want to revisit a couple of things for the tournament just very, very quickly. I think this tournament's been absolutely fantastic, and I'm definitely interested to see how they can keep kind of it going. But in all honesty, one big thing that I've loved seeing is players who are like Sidney Crosby, Brady Tkachuk, Matt Boldy, players that haven't had the chance to play at a super high paced game yet in their professional careers. They're well, obviously Sid has, but unfortunately the Penguins have not been that great this year. So it's absolutely fantastic seeing him play meaningful hockey. Brady Tkachuk hasn't really made it that far into the playoffs yet. Matt Boldy is still very young, and Minnesota is on the rise. So I think seeing these players and getting access to this big of a game is absolutely huge for their development, and will only take them so far. But I think the world is slowly realizing that Matt and Brady are both phenomenal. Brady is just as crazy as Matt is. And
he's just as much of a pain in the Bruins side too.
Of course, yeah, and he answers the bell by himself. He does it all. It doesn't really matter. But I do want to give a little bit of love to the Canadians side. That first game and that first goal by on the power play. And again, this is an absolute video game lineup of of a power play one with Sidney Crosby, McJesus, McKinnon, Reinhart, McCarr. Sidney Crosby gets the puck in the corner, just does an absolute no-look spinorama cross crease to McKinnon, who has a wide open net. It's just like that's the first goal of the tournament. That was the best goal of the tournament.
That goal reminded me of like NHL '95 or something on like Sega.
Yeah,
that's what those goals are like.
It happened a minute into the tournament,
Right.
So that really set the pace. I think for the entire tournament, and just watching Sidney Crosby play meaningful games is godsend. Really, it truly is. But
well, you got to realize he's on the back nine now. What is he, 36, 37, something like that? He's getting up there, 38 maybe. He's been in the league for 20 years, right? So he's getting near the end, and he's still playing good. So,
and there's no signs of him slowing down either. He is the Tom Brady kind of esque of hockey when it comes to fitness. There's talks that he might play a couple more years than what people think. So it's truly remarkable seeing what Sid can do and the star power for the Canadians. I'm just wondering what is truly going to happen with the goaltending come Thursday. If they do go with Benner, can he steal a game? Can he play lights out?
He can, because he has done it. That's a concern for me. The concern for me is that Team USA looks like the Bruins, and they get 80 shots on net and get 2 goals. That's the concern I have. They carry the play. They get a boatload of shots. The other team comes down. They put in the net. And they got like 3 shots on goal. That frustrates the hell out of me, and I hope I don't see that. But
and 5
we only have a few minutes left, so I really do kind of want to touch on the Bruins after the break. And I forget the teams that they're playing. I had it before, but it's crucial for them heading into the trade deadline, to me. So, I mean, we've had a lot of back and forth about what they should do, and your love for Don Sweeney.
Yeah,
so
I'm
curious to see. So let me ask you something real quick. Should they make a deal quickly after the break? Like if they lose 3 out of 4, should they make a deal right away? Because we fear that he's going to wait until March 7th, deadline day, and basically do nothing.
In all honesty, this is probably a year that we could be sellers. With Marchand with Marchand kind of nearing the back end of his career, we don't really have anything in the pipeline either. There's been talks about potentially trading Marchand, which I don't believe are true. I know you've beaten that drum a couple times, Ned. But I think
I I
Yeah,
want them
we
to
got.
trade him because they stink and they can get value for him. He's still playing at a decent level where A, he
Yeah,
can help contender, and B, they can get value back from him. I mean, they should be able to get a decent return, not just a bag of pucks. That's what I'm getting at.
yeah, no, and I understand that, but I wouldn't mind them actually being sellers this year. I think this team has potentially overplayed their kind of well-being with the roster management the last couple of years. Yes, they've been very good. Yes, Sweeney went out and made some trade deadline acquisitions that did help in the in kind of a micro fashion, but it didn't turn into a cup. It didn't. We still lost to the first round.
That
To the
wasn't
Panthers.
Sweeney's fault, though. I mean,
No,
he
I
did
get that.
he did all the right things, and the players didn't execute, and they didn't come through, and they panicked and they choked. So I don't blame Sweeney for that. Again, you've heard me on here. I gave him an A+ for that trade deadline, but he can't. You can only go so far, and right now it's where he built this roster the way it is, and so he doesn't get an A. He's probably looking at a C- right now, as far as I'm concerned. I'm just throwing grades out. I'm not nitpicking yet. Uh, but I just think that right now, and I'll use this. I was watching NBC Sports Boston, and one of the reporters on there, Mike Giardi, said that one of his friends went to Providence, and there's nothing down there. And so, you've heard me hop on. What's the
Lysell.
kid's Lizelle, first round pick. He's a complete bust. I've seen him play. He does nothing for me. I don't. To your point, they should be sellers because they have to restock. They have nothing in the pipeline, and they don't have talent, and so that's a huge problem. They have to fix that.
I think they've just been kind of just going with the flow, I guess you can say, this year. But it's not really flowing.
Well,
But there's not a lot of goal scorers on this team. The only line that is actually playing out of their minds right now is Pasta, Zaka, and Geeky.
mm-hmm.
And Geeky has been a great surprise this year. But I think we all know that he's playing with the star in Pastrnak, and Pasternak's playmaking this year has actually stepped up quite a bit, and he's turned into quite the assist man, which is normally goals for him, which I like seeing.
But you earlier in the year, sorry to cut you off. Earlier in the year when Geeky got off to a bad start, I dogged him, right? And so credit to him that he's potting some goals and contributing in a big way because they need it. I mean, he was underachieving the first probably 15, 20 games. He's really came on of late. They don't have depth and they don't have scoring, and it's a problem. And so, that's the way. And look, Sweeney said it was coming. He said that they needed the young guys to step up, and unfortunately, some of those guys didn't take the reins and take their opportunity. Lysell being one of them.
I mean, I think there's more to that puzzle, though.
Well, the salary cap is the big piece of the puzzle because they hamstrung themselves. And look, I know you're not happy with the signings of Zadorov and
That's what I was going to get into.
Lindholm. Well,
Yeah.
no, listen, you're not going to hit home runs every time. I was happy that they signed both those guys because they haven't had a guy to replace Patrice Bergeron. Lindholm was supposed to fit that bill. He's way underachieved, and he's on the third line. That's bad.
It's really bad.
Zadorov is supposed to be like this big stay-at-home guy, but he's like scrambling all over the place. He's out of position a lot.
Penalty machine.
He's trying to do too much. I think he's trying to paste everybody through the boards on every single hit. He needs to dial it back a smidge and pick his spots. He doesn't have to be big enforcer the whole game, every game, and be all over the place. He just
I
needs
was
to
actually impressed.
I wanted them to get a guy like him because in the playoffs, when you had Matt Grzelcyk undersized sitting on the bench because he couldn't play and they weren't clearing anybody out in front of the net, that's what you need that guy for. But he's got to clean it up. I mean, so there's multiple issues. I think the roster building is part of it because of the salary cap, and I want them to trade some pieces away and free up some space. Brandon Carlo, Charlie
Your
Coyle,
boy.
Charlie Coyle, and Brad Marchand, and those are the three that I would trade. I would not trade Geeky, and I would not trade Trent Frederick. His name's everywhere. And it's like, okay, he's a third line guy, and he brings grit and he fights. So I don't want them to trade him.
I think out of all the people that they will trade, Frederick is one of them. I think they just need to see what happens and see who's asking and what they can get. This is this is a team that right now I don't know if they even make the playoffs. There's a lot of other teams surging in the East right now. The East is a complete kind of trench warfare with the standings, and it's going to be a gauntlet to the end. And with McAvoy going down in this tournament, with Elias Lindholm not really doing anything in this tournament, that's not really any good signs for us. But Marchand, I think, is one that we will keep. I don't foresee us trading him, even though it would make sense. But I think we just need to see what the offers are and take the best offers. We need to start rebuilding. There may be some dark years ahead for the Bruins. I would love to be wrong in that statement, but our farms team right now is not that great. Lysell has not worked out. There's been numerous others.
It's sad when on the farm team in Providence, your goalies are your best players, and
well,
you don't have scoring.
To be honest with you, the Province Bruins have done well, like the last couple of years too. Like they've kind of set records in like record wise, but there's not a lot of players that they get called up, and then they're staples. Like there's players that kind of teeter and totter back and forth, but I'm hoping Matt Poitras stays up the rest of the year. I love his play. I think there's definitely an opportunity there for him to succeed and grow into a massive role here with the Bruins.
I agree with you.
If they do trade one of the many names that you've named, I just do have to completely disagree with the Marchand one. I don't think we're going to trade our captain. That's not the Bruin, not very Bruins-esque.
That's part of the problem. They're unwilling to change the way that they operate. They hang on to these guys till the very end. He's going to sign a 2-year contract or whatever with options, just like they did for Bergeron and Krejci. And he's going to be here until he's 40 years old. And he's going to be tying up a roster spot where really, if they want to get a retool correctly, the way Neely said it, you have to make tough decisions. It's a tough decision to trade your captain, so to speak, but he brings value back, and that's that's part of it's part of the rebuild. It's part of what hurts. Listen, I'm still pissed at them for trading Ray Bourque. That's a rant for another day. But that guy never should have been traded out of Boston. They didn't rebuild around him, and so I miffed at that. But one of the things we talk about a lot around here when Bill Belichick was the coach of the Patriots is how he would cut guys before the end. When he cut Malloy, I was like, holy crap. And then come to find out he wasn't the same guy. And he's done it with other guys. And so part of the problem for the Bruins is they're hanging on much longer than they should with some of these guys. And I would put Marchand in that category. I mean, it's not because I don't like him or he's not a good Bruin or whatever. It's just like, look, he's 36, going on 37. He's not 27, going on 28. There's a big difference. So let me. I got to watch the clock here. So let me jump to last week's poll questions, and then we'll do weekly predictions. One of the questions we had is: are you upset about Charlie McAvoy getting hurt in the Four Nations tournament? We had yes, he makes too much money. No, it's part of hockey. We had 100% voted no and 0 for yes. So nobody's upset that he got hurt. So they are in agreement with us that, it's part of the game and that's just the way it is. So typical.
So we did get a message in chat real quick. Sorry to cut you off there.
No, that's all right. Go ahead.
But D in chat's doing a true shout out to me saying, I think Sweeney has had years to prove he can do his job. Fire him. Don't trade Marchand. He still has value for us. The problem lies in the fact that we didn't replace Bergeron and Krejci, which I totally agree with.
I agree with that. That's a good point, Denise.
But yeah, no,
she's right.
That's
it's been brought up before. I mean, it's been brought up all over the place that they never really replaced those two guys properly. They tried to use Coyle and Zacha last year. It kind of worked in spurts and kind of didn't. So, this year they spent money and got Lindholm, and that hasn't worked. So they actually legitimately tried to replace him, and the guy hasn't panned out. He's underperformed bad. So it's a good point by her.
But I think that trade in general and seeing the trajectory of the way that Elias was going, just and the people around him in Calgary were just so good, and his numbers were definitely inflated with Matt and Johnny Gaudreau. Obviously,
Yeah, that's true too. When you're playing with
Um,
top guys, I mean, listen, whoever plays with Sidney Crosby is going to get 50 goals. That's just the way it is,
yeah,
right?
and same with McJesus and all of them. But go ahead.
Uh, Next poll question: do you think Rafael Devers should move to DH and let Alex Bregman take over at third base? We had 75% said no. Second base has been horrible. We need Bregman there, and 25% said yes. He needs to be a team player. So most people agree with me. They need Bregman at second base, and I'm not going to ramble on too much about that because, well, plenty of time to dissect the Red Sox as they start their spring training stuff going on there.
Excuse me.
So now is usually the time when we do the weekly predictions. Mine have not been very good. And I honestly don't remember what the hell I said last week, so I can't tell you what it is. And
You
I
didn't
apologize
predict
for
that
that.
they were going to sign Bregman?
I might have, but I don't remember now.
If they haven't been pretty good, then I highly doubt it. But
I'll put it this way: I usually get them wrong, and that doesn't,
part of
that's
the
not a
fun, though.
surprise. I'm like the Washington Generals of predictions over here. So, do you have it? Do you have anything for this week as far as prediction goes?
I'm predicting a overtime championship Four Nations game. I definitely think it's going to be an overtime. I think this clash of just two titans in North America is just going to be a great game. There's going to be offense, there's going to be defense, there's going to be some goaltending. Hopefully more for the U.S. than Canada, but I'm just a hockey fan at the end of the day, and I would just truly want something just magical like we saw the first game between the U.S. and Canada. So I'm definitely thinking it's going to be overtime, but that's kind of my prediction. What about you?
I say Brad Marchand scores for Canada, and let's see if he gets booed.
I like that. Yeah, I like that.
Let's see if he gets booed in his own building.
Oh, I definitely think he'll get booed if it's in the championship game, maybe
Curious
in OT too. Ooh, he's definitely getting booed.
Yeah, so
But
I say he scores. I say he scores a goal, and we find out if he gets booed or not.
Yeah, I definitely think that would be the true tell if he did. He's definitely getting booed if it's the OT winner. I can promise you that.
And I'm going to go out on a limb again. I'll make another prediction and say that by next week, Rafael Devers will agree to move and go to DH, even though that's not what I want. I think that Cora's going to get to him, and they'll iron it out. And I don't care what he says about, no, I play third. Blah. I think that they'll talk to him and say, hey, look, you're going to DH whether you like it or not. So those are my two predictions, and I'm going to stop there because I suck at these and I never get them right. And so that's pretty much the show. I'd like to thank you very much, Tim, for joining me.
Of course,
I greatly appreciate it. Invaluable hockey insight. Much appreciated. Come on anytime. I know you usually chime in the comments, but feel free to jump in anytime. We'd love to have you back. And on behalf of Frank and myself, I'd like to say thank you everybody for tuning in. Thanks for voting in all the polls and all the comments, and watch out for us on YouTube. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you all next week.